Many artists have that one signature song that they're connected to that everybody knows. But what about that second hit? I like the stories of those secondary hits, the ones that came next. They're like the underdogs, and sometimes their stories are even more interesting than the big one. Up next, one of the great storytellers, or should I say songtellers of this channel, gives us the story of a number 6 hit from 1980. You're not going to want to miss it on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. If you've ever owned records, cassettes, CDs, 45s, any of those things, 8-tracks even, at different times in your life, or you still do, this is your channel, I'm telling you. Subscribe below right now and be a part of our daily celebration of the rock era with exclusive stories straight from the artists who created them, stuff you won't find anywhere else. And also click on our Patreon link in the description. You're going to see a brand new show there that you're going to love. Now it's time for another episode of our series, Revelations, where featured artists reveal rare stories about their greatest songs. On this installment of Revelations, we have a second helping of one of the great songtellers from this channel. We heard him tell the very interesting story behind the number 1 hit from the end of 1979 and early 1980, Escape the Pina Colada song.
If you like pina coladas,
Which if you haven't seen that episode, you really need to. I mean, Rupert Holmes is just truly one of the best interviews we've ever had here. And he's a real Renaissance man. I mean, he's not only a celebrated singer-songwriter of the 70s and 80s, he's also a Tony Award-winning playwright, a best-selling novelist, television writer, much, much more. Very cool guy. Today, he shares the story behind his follow-up to the timeless hit Escape, Pina Colada song. It's a song that he released immediately after in March of 1980. It's called Him.
what's she gonna do about him?
It went to number 6 and it was a staple of radio that year. What I love about Rupert Holmes and his songs, they have an eerie element, a sort of mystery that conveys our inner awkwardness and our instability as human beings. They have the aura of the 70s meeting the 80s. I mean, if this song were a color, it'd be like a burnt orange. They just have this strange atmosphere. I remember hearing this song as a kid and just thinking long and hard about what is going on here. I mean, this wasn't a kid's song. This was very adult fare, very new to me as I was, discovering things. And the music is very interesting in the fact that the midsection of the song has a melodic, wordless sunshine pop choral singing over the instrumental break, very similar to the 60s sunshine sounds of the Beach Boys and the Association. During the first half of the third verse, you'll hear it. But the song definitely stands out in the field of the early 80s pop. Rupert is a talented pop craftsman, and his insight is always profound and entertaining. You're going to love it. As we go into this interview, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear, that helps make this possible. I'm wearing my blue pair today. When you go to Zenni.com, you are able to design your very own pair, do a virtual try-on to see exactly how you look in their mirror feature that they have, and then you can add on great features like blocks. That helps protect your eyes from digital blue light that we're exposed to every day through computers and such. Go to Zenni.com and design your own today. Here is Rupert with a story. Another huge hit for you in 80, went to number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 4 on the AC charts. That's another one of those songs. I think that was a moment in my life, you and Billy Joel were this to me, where I heard a second song. I had heard Escape.
If you like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain.
And then I heard It's Still Rock and Roll to Me.
Punk, even if it's old junk, still rock and roll to me.
And then I heard You May Be Right.
You may be right, I may be crazy.
And Him.
What's she gonna do about
And realized, wait a second, this sounds like the same guy that sang this song. And that was the first moment where I had that.
Well, you thought, yeah.
You hear 10 or 15 songs and you're like, oh, those are different songs. And then as a kid, your mind goes, wait a second, I think this is the same person singing both of these songs.
I know. It's fascinating. A lot of people, especially in the 50s when I was growing up, so many artists were one record, and that was it. We talk about one-hit wonders, but it wasn't until bands came in and people bought albums and started to learn what the band sounded like from cut to cut but very often you'd have people associated with just one song, and the idea of, oh, that's the same guy that did that one. Oh yeah, oh, because that's the way he talks. Yeah, oh yeah, and you start to understand what instrumentation he might use. So you were piecing together, oh, there are artists, there are recording artists.
And my dad giving me some of that knowledge of saying, well, son, let me tell you the story of this song or whatever.
Yeah.
And that kind of started that education in pop music for me.
Yeah, that's great. It's good that your dad encouraged that. Was your dad a musician?
He wasn't. He was just a very big fan. He'd always bring home a new record. I remember when he would bring home a new record from, there's a very few places in my small town that sold records. You'd have to drive about 30 minutes to go to a mall where they had a music land. So when he would bring home a new record, it was like the greatest thing in the world. And this was the stuff that he was buying. Talk about Barbra Streisand. That was my mom's favorite singer. He loved Neil Diamond. And then I got into Billy Joel. But that was a great thing when he'd bring home a new record and just the joy that it brought to our lives.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Tell me about him. The vocal on that is very nuanced. A lot of imagery in there, a pack of cigarettes.
There's a pack of cigarettes.
I love mysteries. As a matter of fact, I'm a mystery writer. I write mystery novels and plays. And I always find clues on someone's desk or in someone's home kind of interesting. I have this game I love to play. It's a very dangerous game where I'll be sitting across the desk from some executive and I'll read something on his desk upside down. So I'll work it into the conversation. So upside down, I'll read, it'll say Brad Collins. And I'll say, I was just saying to my friend Brad Collins last week, and he'll say, what? What, you know? Now, I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't know but it's just kind of interesting. And with him, with the song Him, it was more a matter of, sometimes I saw somebody once say to his girlfriend, where'd you get this book of matches? And she said, oh, I don't know, I just picked up. He said, we've never been to this club. But we haven't been, we never went there. Oh, I think I went there. When did you go there? And it's just, there are all kinds of, people leave clues. And sometimes they leave clues because they want to leave clues. They want to be caught. They want to be found out. So Him was sort of about, I just tried to make it what could be more telling than being with your girlfriend and over by the window there is a pack of cigarettes, but it's not your brand and she doesn't smoke. So what do we do with that piece of information? So one of my favorite expressions is that even paranoiacs have enemies. You could be, when you say, oh, you're just being suspicious, say, yeah, but maybe with good reason. So then I tried to, the song is an unusual song in that even though I took the Escape, the Pina Colada song is one vocal, one take, and there's some harmonies that I then added. But with Him, the chorus was really, it took a long time to record that because it's like 3 and 4 part harmony, all my voice, each voice in the chorus, not in the verses, but in the chorus, I'm triple tracked on each part.
Him, what's she gonna do about him?
And I was trying, because it's about a guy trying to assert that the woman he's with is going to have to make a choice between himself and this other person, this other guy. And he's trying to say, he's trying to present himself as strong. And I realized that the vocal had to be kind of strong that way too.
No one gets to get it for free. It's me.
So I made it dense and the harmonies are very tight and many multi-track layers. Sometimes people have compared me to the Beach Boys, which is not in any way a correct comparison.
But let's talk about it.
But it is true that I took pleasure often on my records in creating a very big group harmony sound with all the voices being sung by myself, because I know exactly what I want to do with each part within the part. So a lot of times on the Beatles records, you hear them singing some beautiful tight harmonies. And when they perform the song live, George and Paul and John would sing three-part harmony. But if you really listen to the record, often it's only John Lennon, like This Boy. As far as I know, This Boy is only John Lennon, even though it sounds like all of the Beatles are singing it in tight harmony. And it works well because he knows certain nuances within that harmony that he wants to do, and he can match it when he double tracks it. So that was more, to him, was more about technique, studio technique, in terms of its chorus and its sound.
You produced the song, and it has that classy sort of melodramatic instrumental track.
I don't want to own her.
French horn, bass trombone, the Gene Orloff string section.
Yeah. One of the things that people don't know about me generally is that I do something that virtually no singer-songwriters do, which is I orchestrate and conduct any instrument you hear on my albums. Is not that I didn't have an arranger write that for me. There are no outside arrangers on any of my albums. Now, sometimes you'll see on an album, let's say arranged by John Smith, and then underneath it, it'll say orchestrated by. And sometimes what that really means is that the artist said, I hear strings in that chorus, so write some strings, will you? And then he'll say, well, that was my idea, to have strings in the chorus. But if you hear strings on my record, like him, has a very, very strong string line on it.
She's gonna have to do without him.
I notated every single note that the strings are playing with a number 2 pencil on score paper, and I'm conducting the session as an overdub. The string players aren't there when I record the basic track. So anything that you hear on any of my records, where there's big brass, whether there's a big band sound, and always the string sounds on my records.
She's gonna have to do without him.
Those are all written by me. And even with my Broadway musical, The Mystery of Edwin Drood, normally Broadway composers do not write what the orchestra plays, their own arrangements. But I didn't know that you didn't do that, so I did that. And when I worked with, no one told me that you don't do that. And I always felt like to give up arranging is to give up, it would be like being a painter and only working in black and white and never getting to add the colors. Which is how they do it in comic books. But when I write a song, and I'll think, and the strings will come in here, and I know what they'll play, and this is what they'll play. And that's in my head even when I'm writing the song. So yeah, him shows off some of my string writing quite a bit.
No one gets to get it for free. It's me.
And the Gene Orloff strings, Gene Orloff was the concertmaster of his own string section. And a lot of the people in it played with the New York Philharmonic. I had some very, very fine musicians in New York to work with, especially in the string sections.
You actually played sax along with the keyboards.
Yeah.
But I can't let her have it both ways.
And as you mentioned in Escape, we talked about it was inspired by a personal ad that you saw in the Village Voice. What a storyline for him. I was always curious about that. Take me through writing that, if you don't mind.
There was an instance where I saw some guy, a friend of mine, wondering, I mean, literally, it was not about a pack of cigarettes, it was about a matchbook.
Pack of cigarettes. Not my.
And what happens to me is I'm a shameless eavesdropper. I find people fascinating. Whenever I see a couple that doesn't look like it makes any sense whatsoever, my theory, and I maintain this strongly, is every couple makes sense. You just don't know enough about them yet. In other words, when you see a couple and you say, I can't imagine why, there's probably something you don't know, and there's probably a really good reason. And it isn't always the reason that you think. I saw one couple where one guy was this kind of old guy, late 50s, balding, little tubby, and he was with a partner who was young and handsome, and they spent a lot of money, And I thought, okay, well, I know what that's all about. He's got the money, and the young person is the beneficiary of that, and you get what you pay for. And it turned out that the young guy had the money, and the bald. So I'm saying, well, then I don't know enough about this couple. Okay, well, so anytime I see an unusual situation, I think, what if? Same thing as with Pina Colada, and so with my friend, I thought, oh, he's going to worry about that matchbook. They're going to be talking about when they went to that club. Oh no, you remember? Well, I must have. Maybe I just picked it up. Maybe I got it. He's going to be obsessing about that matchbook a little bit. And I thought about people sort of saying, well, having enough pride to say, if you want to have someone else in your life, that's fine, but you don't get to have both things. Yeah, no one gets to get it for free. And I wrote the verse of the song.
Not my brand, you understand sometimes.
And when I got to the chorus, it wasn't a strong enough stance. And I actually let the song sit for about a year, having a verse but no chorus. And the original chorus, he's kind of moping about the situation. It went like, him for whom I'm making room. You sleep with me on a whim when it's convenient for him. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. That how can you have sympathy for anyone that willing to be, in that mode of living? So it took me about a year, and then I thought, no, he's going to take a stand, and it's going to be strong. And when I record it, it'll have the harmony will be strong harmony. And I'll make the strings go stratospheric, and that will be an assertion. And then we can come back to the solo vocal on the verse after the first chorus. So yeah, it's most of my songs. The question I get most asked of any question at all about Escape is people come to me and say, "Is that story true?" People, they want so much to hear that it is a true story. And I always hate to disappoint them and say, no, it's a work of fiction. I made it up. But I do take a lot of things that happen in life and say, well, what would my take be on that if that did happen to me? So it's not autobiographical, but it is based on somebody's life. And I turned it into what I think he should have done about the situation at that time.
And thanks so much for watching. Leave us a comment about Rupert Holmes and this 1980 hit. What are your memories of it? What other secondary hits from great artists should we cover on here? I think they're very interesting and not very well known. Let us know in the comments. If you like our videos, we invite you to subscribe below to be a part of our community. We'd love to have you. And to get insider access, join us on Patreon. Got a really cool show there. Click on the description below and you'll see it. Help us keep the music alive. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends. Stay safe out there.